Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Gachiakuta, Season 1, Episode 7. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we're picking up where last episode left off with Jabber injecting himself with his own poison, and now because of the whole, I'm not actively thinking about attacking you, so now Grease's talisman doesn't protect and operate and give Rudo the same powers he had before. So now all he's left with doing is dodging Jabber, because Jabber's just erratic. And now it's like he's not driven by like his murders or intent to like hurt you or whatever. And it's like because he's just wild and it's like it can't read his intent because he kind of has no intent. It's just blind like attacking, and it just you happen to be the target and in the way. So it's kind of nullified his defense in that way. I even love that eventually, like partway through it, Rudo's like, could this guy be a masochist? And then we cut back to him at the spear when he was younger, and these kids are kicking him and poking at him and being like, oh, are you a masochist? And he went to ask Recto, like, what's a masochist? And Recto took a couple seconds to be like, wait, what? So Rudo must have gotten the answer to that at some point in time. Like, I guess Recto probably explained it to some degree for him to even bring it up in this moment to be like, oh, he must be a masochist. To even have the context of it must mean Recto must have explained that to him. So, but it's like, yeah, how do you defeat a bastard who seems to kind of get off on pain and stuff like that? So, yeah, the fight continues until he gets some backup from Zonka, which is like, hey, he came through in the end, but Zonka's still dealing with the aftermath of the paralysis. We actually find out Zonka's actually been watching the fight for a while, but he hasn't been able to interfere because he seems like the more analytic amongst the cleaners. I mean, at least those we've met so far, Rio, Engine, and him, he seems to be the most like calculated. I mean, we saw that a little bit with the Raiders he fought in episode 5, that duo that is like he is analytical in his approach to fighting. He just takes time to analyze it, and so he was watching this, and he even like even though he wasn't participating in battle, he still was able to analyze and understand how Rudo's giver power is like operating in this particular situation. But there, it's kind of interesting how this unlikely duo that was introduced together in episode 3, it kind of butt heads are now going to have to work together because they feel in where the other one is lacking in this moment. Zonka can't really move around because the paralytic is still inside of him, and then Rudo can't really do anything on the defensive front because he doesn't have anything on the offensive front because of Jabber's current situation prevents him from kind of counterattacking. And so now it's like they're both compensating because Zonka has his, I think, what do you call it, his assist staff. It's like it allows him to have longer range than Rudo's fist. So it's like, cool, how about I try and attack you and then you'll use your powers against me? And it's like, well, if that doesn't work, it will just end up hitting me. He's like, suck it up. And so he goes through with it, and Rudo pushes him back, and in that moment he swings over towards Jabber and slams him with the staff, which Rudo's pissed because he's like, you were literally going to attack me. He's like, yo, bro, I told you I was going to do it. He's like, but see, it all worked out and it's all fine. And so that ends up being their staple of how they do this. And it's beautiful. They work well together in this particular situation. So, and like Zonka's like laying into Jabber over and over again, slamming him, like sending him flying into like the ceiling and into pillars and stuff and the ground. And especially that final shot when like Jabber like kind of like the poison kind of wore off and he kind of came back to consciousness and he got slammed into the ground. But the bastard is not going down. Even though he went down, it didn't stay permanent because he injects himself as his other claw. So one claw is meant for more offensive poison to affect his enemies. The poison from the left claw is to nullify pain. So he's just making himself pain intolerant, increases pain tolerance so he can't feel anything to keep going. Because like, it doesn't heal my wounds or anything, but I don't feel anything in this moment. And even if he did, once again, the jack off is like really, like I said, a masochist, so he's like into it. But the problem is, at some point during the fight, it might. I can only assume, considering it only hits him now, that it had to be at some point in time when he was like rabid and attacking wildly, and Rudo like seemed like he was dodging everything, but I guess he got a single slice on Rudo's back, and because of that, when the instrument like burns away and fizzle away, which even Zonka's like it's getting destroyed, which we know isn't the first time, but this is Zonka's first time seeing Rudo use his power. And so he was like wondering if that's just a byproduct of Rudo's power, or is there other factors into why that is. I just assume that's just how Rudo's power worked, but I'm curious, are we going to find out like he can't keep, because it was like, oh, is it a duration thing of like he can only go for something? Because this is the longest once again, we don't know the time frame of the battle, because the battle might have been like, but like his fight in episode 2 when he used his power, like against those guys that were trying to, basically sell him, like the items did that too, but that seemed like that was a way shorter period of time. To be fair, he's tapping into his power, he's understanding his power a lot more, so it's probably increased his duration, but we won't know, but like I said, even Zonka throwing out there that maybe there's some other reason for it. Like maybe if he ever learns full control of his ability, maybe he can stop there ever being a time limit, and maybe the item doesn't get destroyed, or maybe that is just like, maybe he's literally burning through the soul of the item. Like every item has a soul, and he's burning through that soul when he uses it as a weapon. I mean, there might be a deeper constitution of how his power works, the item dissolving itself after the battle, like maybe there's a like underlining constitution there that could be, maybe it's a secret layer to Rudo's power, or maybe it's like it could be applied in certain ways later on. Like I said, a lot of speculation on this front. But yeah, Jabber gets up, ends up re-paralyzing Zonka, because for him him poisoning himself only lasts like 10 minutes because he has built up a resistance for it, and it's like, right, he re-ups it and basically it's going to last another 30 minutes for Zonka, which I guess like it's interesting because it didn't sound like he was saying like it adds another 30 minutes to what's already there, because he's already still in a weak enough state, so the poison must still be in his system to some extent, but it doesn't seem like it fully stacks. It just kind of resets it back to its max time based on what he was saying. But yeah, Jabber grabbed Rudo and he takes off. What I thought was interesting was when he was like, oh wait, we're above ground? He's like, I thought we were, but it turns out they were in a deeper layer of they were inside of a building. Like, that's what I thought was so interesting. I guess he wasn't really paying attention when he went in there, because he's like, oh, I thought we're already above ground? Like, what's going on there? So, but immediately we see Rio's there like, found you, and then he gets speared by Engine's umbrella, and it's not just Engine, there's like at least 2 other cleaners with him and one of the supports who went to kind of phone him, and it's like, oh, like go check on Gris and the others, and she ran off because luckily she got to an area that with a phone, so they were able to contact him. And I love there's that guy in the background like, you hurt one of our people, unforgivable, and the other guy was like, will you shut up? And so now it's like, all right, don't worry, we're going to take care of you. And this guy's, and Jabber's like, I know I'm in a very bad situation right now, but his orders are to bring Rudo back. So he's like, even if I die or whatever, I got to see this through. If I run away, because he even says, like, I can't fail another mission. So it makes you wonder, what was the last mission he did that he ended up failing, and what were the circumstances around it? But for him, it's like, I can't fail again, because he probably knows the boss will kill him if he does. So it's like, right, even if I have to jeopardize myself, I got to do this. But also, like, once again, he literally says how hard he's getting. Everyone's like, ugh. But yeah, he's living for this moment. And so he's ready to strike and put this through. And I was like, well, you're going up against Engine, Rio, and the other 2, we don't even know what their vital instruments are. But before they can even get to the battle, one of the other raiders, like a new one pops up out of a manhole. I guess that's their vital instrument. Not unless there's something else to that, but I'd assume that seemed vital instrument-esque, but maybe there's something else to it. I'm curious, like, how you use that. Well, I was about to say, how do you use that in battle, but it's like, that person seemed extremely strong. Because I was about to say for a second, it's like, well, we saw Gris is like extremely ridiculously strong because he got to compensate for the fact is he's not a giver. So this person was like squeezing on the jabber and like their muscles were flexing, kind of crazy amount of strength in a small package type of deal. But I guess maybe that's how that person would utilize it. They'll use the manhole to get around and they'll attack you with their physical strength. Maybe that's how that person operates. Who knows? This is a small introduction to them. They said their name, but I didn't quite catch it. And I thought it was interesting where he's like, no, I got to see this through. Let me fight. And the person was like, the boss had a big smile on his face. And then like Jabber just looked at him and was like, all right, fine. I guess we have to call it quits here. Because I guess it's like, yo, if the boss is smiling, means like, yo, like the boss is either that's supposed to be, hey, the boss is in a bad mood, or it's like, hey, the boss is in a good mood and that's a bad thing type of thing. Who knows? But Rudo calls out to him being like, yo, if you're not just, this isn't over. The fact is that Jabber, I'm going to get you back for what you did to Gris. Like, we're not just going to let it in here, which even he's impressed. He's like, yo, you're quite the fighter, aren't you? The fact of the matter is that you can still keep going. You're even conscious while, like, my poison is in you. That's pretty impressive. And then he takes a look at, Rudo's gloves, and he's like, whoa, those come from a series. And it's like, oh, the boss is the same way. Oh, he's going to be so happy when he finds that out. Which makes you wonder, is that why the boss I mean, they can't know all that there is to know about Rudo. Like I said, my money is still being on, like, it might be his dad that's like the boss of the Raiders or whatever. But twofold, it's like they seem interested in Rudo because he's a Spearite, but there might be like, do they know about his constitution as a giver, like how his power operates? Turning basically, not necessarily turning for the intents and purposes, it's turning every item, he can turn an item into, a vital instrument in a sense. So I wonder, how much do they know about his powers? Once again, like, that mention of a series. So I guess maybe they're very special vital instruments, because it's specifically the logo. So because then it begs the question, like, well, he got these from Recto, so if it's something that's connected to the ground, how did Recto get his hands on it? But once again, I think, because didn't they say, like, initially, like, the spear was originally on the ground and then those people left to be in the spear? I can't remember. They brought that up earlier in the season. I don't think it's like that. The ground has always been the ground. It's always been here. But I think eventually, like, some people escaped and made their way to the spear. So anything that was on the ground. But it's like, I wondered whoever makes these, like, series of maybe weapons or whatever, or items, maybe they're up there in the spear. But then, like I said, begs the question, like, how did Recto get his hands on it? Maybe this all correlates to the book that was stolen, Recto getting killed. The marks on Rudo's hands might be, like, the source of it. I mean, once again, them as givers is just a given thing. But, like, once again, the whole thing about Rudo's arms being the way they are, because it gives you, like, a whole bunch of, like, there's so many questions, like I said, like, when it comes to, like, vital instruments, how could there be a series of items? Like, it just, obviously there are items that are important to you, but it's like, I mean, I guess there are items that are special to begin with, and then Rudo just happening to be a giver, and they end up being so important and vital to him because Recto gave them to him. Like, maybe they're very special to begin with, and they're just extra special now because of the sentimentality that Rudo has for him. That's, like I said, that's an interesting wrinkle to throw in there, the whole series angle to it. Either way, I'm just going to be talking myself in circles about this because obviously that's not going to lead me to any answers. But at the end of the day, Jabber got away, which I was like, oh, I wanted that smug bastard to get what was his, but of course it wasn't going to be that easy. So, but with all this help backing him up, it's like, yeah, might as well take the L and leave. So they do. And at the end of it all, Rudo approaches Gris and apologizes for his talisman. It's like, I know how important it was to you, but for Gris, it's like, yeah, it was like very important to me, but if it was able to help you out, then that's all great. And he's just like, you did a good job, Rudo. Now, we don't know whether Gris is going to make it or not. You hope so, but we won't know until next episode, because obviously the symbology of like, oh, the talisman, like the last bit of it, like being blown away into the wind, like, but he says that line about good job, Rudo, after the fact. So I think he will be okay, hopefully. But we'll have to wait to see how that all pans out next episode. Jabber also brought up something too when he was escaping with Rudo. He was like, oh yeah, I got to get those other two. He's like, but they'll come and get them. So it seemed like they were already gone. So I guess, I don't know if it's like the person who came to get Jabber, I don't know if that person already grabbed up the other two raiders, or whether they have someone specifically come and collect people because they can't have you falling into enemy hands type of situation, or what. I wonder, will they get punished for losing or something like that? We don't fully know the inner workings of the raiders yet. So, I mean, well, the cleaners might have a better idea and understanding than obviously Rudo does, considering he's the new guy in all this. But like I said, putting all that aside, we'll wait till next episode to see where everything ends up taking us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.